Welcome to Trial Costa Rica, Know Before You Go. My name's Adam Baker, and in this new video series I'm going to be discussing everything from travel, relocation, inspiration and living here in Costa Rica over the next few weeks. So please join me, hit subscribe and check out our weekly content. I'm going to be chatting to some of my friends and colleagues and expats that have been living here for years who already know everything there is to know about living in Costa Rica, about relocating. So if you're thinking about the big move anytime soon, follow along, ask us any questions in the comments box below. We'll get straight back to you and we'll have a new video for you every week offering all the tips and information you could possibly wish to know about trialing your experience here in Costa Rica. Our first guest for episode 1, none other than Anastasia McCullough. She came down to Costa Rica in 2009, over 12 years ago now, and has since been working as a travel consultant here at Costa Rican Vacations. You might have seen her on plenty of other Frog TV episodes, traveling the country and showing us tours, hotels, and even San Jose. She now lives up in Guanacaste with her family. So who's better to chat to than finding out more about Trial Costa Rica than Anastasia? Hey Anastasia, welcome to Trial Costa Rica, our first guest. How are you?
I'm doing all right, Adam. Thanks so much for having me. Exciting new ventures here.
I know, we're kind of just jumping in the deep end. I'm starting with you. Many of our viewers on the CRV YouTube channel might well remember you from numerous videos we've done in the last 10 years or more. It's been a decade now. So I thought you were one of the perfect people to start having a chat about travel, relocating and living in Costa Rica. Seemed to make sense.
Sure. Happy to be here.
It's thank you for taking your time out from your busy travel consulting schedule. You have an amazing background. So whereabouts are you right now?
So I am located in Playas del Coco, Coco Beach, up in Guanacaste, which is the northern Pacific coast of Costa Rica.
And we are in early June, filming this on June the 2nd, and It's very sunny outside, certainly no rain.
So it's been awesome. I get, this is my first year living in Guanacaste. But since June, we have probably, since January, we've probably had 6 rainy days.
Wow.
In total. So yeah, even though they say, May, June, July, August, all the rainy season, we haven't seen much rain. But the rain that we did get made everything really green. So like, it looks very rainforesty. There are monkeys all over because they got more food. But still super dry weather. So it's been beautiful.
It looks stunning. And then you say you've been living in Guanacaste for a year. You've been in Costa Rica for over 15 years now, since you first came.
12.
Oh, 12. Oh, of course,
12.
2009. That's
Yes.
right. Sorry. Yes. 2009. 12 years. And how long were you living in San Jose prior to this?
Over 10 years.
How does the two compare? This is a great way to get us kicked off. Central Valley, San Jose living, and now in Guanacaste by the beach.
It's like living in another country again. I feel like San Jose is fun, especially if you are in your 20s. You want to go out and have more of that like bar scene and a bunch of restaurants everywhere. It's a great area to like meet a lot of people because it's a bustling little city. And it's nice. I did really appreciate the fact that San Jose was so centrally located within the country. So if I wanted to go to the Osa Peninsula, I could just hop a flight there. If I wanted to go to Limon, I could just take the bus there, and like get to anywhere in the country relatively easily. So that was something I really appreciated about San Jose. Whereas here, it's like you're off in your own world. It's really much more low key, slow paced. There's a little town here.
Yeah.
But maybe like 20 restaurants within a 20-mile radius or something. It's not that big bustling town, but it's a great place to raise a family. With young kids, just a very healthy kind of atmosphere, low stress, obviously beautiful surroundings and lots of exposure to wildlife and a lot of activity, physical activity. So
sure. Being a relatively new mum yourself and now taking your family up to Guanacaste, Was that part of the reason that you felt that that was a sensible move, moving to the beach?
Yes, I think the big kicker was COVID obviously happening and like, oh, the whole world changed, and it was
Yeah,
like, wow, what is it that's really important to us? Is it this hustle bustle, make money, be out and about, meeting people, or is it more like, let's just take a step back and kind of reassess what really matters? And because he's young and he's not in a school age yet, it was like, okay, well, let's just go try this. It was also kind of a test about moving away from family because my husband has all of his family in San Jose. And
right.
so that was a nice little safety net for us right when my son was born. But then this was like a little trial of like, okay, we'll go check it out, see how it goes with us kind of being out here on our own. And it's just been fantastic. Like we get in the pool every day. My son is not even 2 years old and he's like letting go of the edge and swimming over to me, like he's
Nice.
made real progress, on the swimming front. And we walk every night at sunset. Like we just really take in every day. Sunset is probably our favorite time. And the whole community comes out.
Uh-huh.
Like it's like, okay, everybody stop what you're doing. It's the end of the day. Get out there, go
See,
check out.
that's quite nice. That's a bit more European, at least in my experience. In San Jose,
Yeah.
you don't really get that as much.
Right.
I'm
Sure.
guessing that's
Yeah,
the weather, the beach. It feels a bit more like a vacation all the time, but you're working and then you have that wonderful time in the evening.
absolutely. And there are new people here all the time, which is cool. The community that I live in there are like some Airbnbs in here and things like that. So you do get to meet new people all the time. You get exposed to new people, and Leo gets to meet new kids and stuff. So it's it's really nice. And everybody's happy here. In the city, people are kind of stressed and everybody's in their own little jam about what they've got going on. Whereas here, people are so happy to just sit down, have a conversation. Where are you from? What do you do? How long have you been here? It's just a very different vibe from city living.
You speak fluent Spanish. So when you're talking about these people you're interacting with, what's the expat community like where you are? And how does it compare to San Jose where you were?
Yeah, so here I feel like there are more North Americans and more Canadians. I have some Italian neighbors. I've seen plenty of people from Asia who they're not like long-term renters, but plenty of people who come visit. You see people walking around and you kind of start to recognize, you say, oh, I saw them a few days ago. They must be here for a while. And so, I feel like in San Jose, I really used a lot more Spanish than what I use here, because it was just so necessary. Whereas here, they're very used to the expat community. So like if you needed to get anything done in English, you could very easily. A lot of people assume that they should be speaking English with me. And then I go to Spanish and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Is that generally a vibe that you imagine in most of those kind of communities, especially in Guanacaste in the north?
Yeah, I would say so. Because so many people, their livelihood depends on tourism.
Yeah.
And so their ability to make money and their ability to connect with more people and, all of those things come down to, are you able to communicate with the big hitter countries that are coming down here? And, primarily the US, the UK, Canada, and so forth. So yeah, you definitely get a lot of that here. And I would imagine it's very similar going farther south to towards like Jaco and the Central Pacific. Yeah, I would say it's very similar.
When you go home or when your family come and visit you or your friends for the first time, obviously the big question is, what's it like living in Costa Rica? Yeah. How does it compare to home? How do you answer that?
I've gotten so used to being here that it's almost hard to remember what it was like before. Like I take certain things for granted and I don't always remember how life was before, but I would say that one of the major differences is just like the overall stress level, and your priorities. Your priorities in the States are like, they're very different. Granted, I was much younger then, and so I had different priorities in that sense of like, get your future started, make money, buy a home, get married, all of those things. Whereas here, I think that the priority is really just like, what good thing did you do today? What fun did you have today?
Yeah.
Did you spend time with your family today? Did you eat good food today? Like, it's really, it's sort of that vacation kind of lifestyle, but obviously I'm able to incorporate that with, you know, a work-life balance, which has become much more important to me as I've gotten a little older.
Yeah.
And as, you know, as the world changed. I mean, that was really one of those things that made it feel very different here. But I still miss Panera.
Sure.
And I still miss
The small
IKEA,
things. Yeah.
you know, those small things. Luckily now it's so easy to go back and forth. You've got Amazon if you really needed something from there, WhatsApp, and like,
Yeah.
you know, different ways to communicate with my family. I know my mother and I talk every single day.
Yeah.
And it's so nice that you can keep that relationship going with people from a distance. So I think all of those things make for, you know, like a whole new world out here.
For sure. And Costa Rica is never really that far away from the US specifically. You know, you're North Carolina, the east, the west coast, you're always a few hours away. And as technology grows with communication, perhaps it's a very different culture, but it doesn't necessarily feel that far away, especially from North America. One of the questions that I think you're in a great position to ask, because you've relocated and you didn't necessarily know when you came over in your youth, and you're still quite young. A lot of people think about relocating later on in their life.
Right.
But what would the advice you give to somebody who's considering now relocating to Costa Rica?
So I'm actually trying to get my parents to move here.
So you're in the process.
So I'm in this process.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
This is very near and dear to me. I think that some of the big things that I would recommend that people consider is, what kind of a property are you looking for? Like, do you want something that you're going to come down here for 6 months and then you're going to rent it for 6 months?
Yeah.
Or are you going to come down here for the long term? I think it's super important to rent first. Like, I don't think that it's a good idea to just come down here and buy something right away unless you've just got the money to do that. But, you know, getting people used to the culture, I think the language thing is big. I know, at least for my dad, that's one of those things that he's like, I just don't know if I could do it. And I'm like, but let's go out. Let's go see how much Spanish you use versus how much English you can use.
And how many people will speak English to you?
Oh, if I don't let them know that I speak Spanish, they all come up to me in English.
So I'm guessing that would give your dad, for example, a lot more confidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He worries about things like going to the bank.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, Dad, you don't have to go to the bank. Like, I do all my banking in the US.
Okay.
Right. So I just take money out from cards here.
Sure.
I'm, you know, my work deposits things to my US bank account. I file for my taxes. Like, I do all of those things in the US, but I'm here.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that's another thing, is about what you're going to do for work. If you are going to be going into retirement, how much you're going to have. I think that you can live pretty well off of what most people get for retirement in the US.
Yeah.
But, or are you going to try and keep working? Are you going to work remotely? If you are you going to have good internet? That's something, you know, definitely to be considered.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
this is where it helps to rent first and maybe explore, like you say, a couple of areas. Choose where you might like to be for a month or longer.
I find that the Guanacaste area is very appealing because you have really good health care. Just 45 minutes away in Liberia, which is a pretty big city.
Yeah.
There's also the international airport there. There's like a big box store, PriceSmart, that's kind of like, you know, like Cost Cutters or
they're going up there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, all of those things make it feel very, very easy to live here. Like, it used to feel kind of like the wild west, like it was out there kind of on your own outside of the city. But with Liberia so close, it makes it really easy to navigate and just get the things you need. There's a Walmart, like, you know,
When people ask you, what about requirements to move to Costa Rica? How would you answer that question?
So they're talking about extending the tourist visa to a year. They haven't officially done that yet, but it is
Yeah.
in the works, and I do think that that's going to come out. If you have a certain amount of money that you invest in the country, like if you buy a property, I can't remember the exact amount, but they will give you residency if you purchase something. But while you're in this sort of test trial period, you can come down for 3 months at a time. That's, you get 90 days, no
Exactly, the
questions
tourist
asked.
visa.
You can
Yeah.
come down, and then if you want to, you can hop a flight back to the US for a few days and then come back. Or you can pop over to Nicaragua and just go across the border, explore, maybe, try some good food, see some sights, and then come right back.
Yeah.
It's a pretty easy process. It's good to do it with someone who's done it before if you've never done it before. It just makes things a little bit easier. But all in all, I mean, it's not very difficult to come down to try it. Like, it's not difficult at all. If you're going to really make the move, you're going to move your whole family down and your dogs and all of those other things. It gets a little more complicated.
Yeah, that's it. It's really about just taking that first step, getting on the plane, coming down 3 months, having an idea. Like you say, it's easier in our youth to perhaps cross the border on foot. But if you're a bit older, if you have a larger family, it does become a bit more complicated. Mm-hmm. But inside 90 days, you can, I think, experience quite a lot. You can certainly see different parts of the country, figure out where it might make sense for you. You make a really good point about Guanacaste, the infrastructure in Liberia, the airport, obviously the large, supermarkets like Walmart, but PriceSmart. So you've got a few of those, maybe home comforts. So they're close by. Obviously, in the beautiful location you're at, a lot of people are going to ask, what's the cost of living? So could you give us an idea about how big the place is where you live, your rent, then what you spend maybe on groceries, electricity, internet?
Yeah. So we got a killer deal on this place. I'm not gonna lie. We my husband scoured, Facebook and other real estate sites for a couple months, because we had this idea of maybe we'll move to the beach. And then when we did see this place, we put down a deposit the next day. Because they already had several showings scheduled for the following day, and fortunately he knew a guy who kind of helped us get connected in here. Our rent is about $1,200 a month.
Nice.
It's a nice big 4-bedroom tower in a condo. It's very safe. It's got private security. They have several swimming pools, ocean views. We're 2 blocks away from the beach.
Nice.
So we got a killer deal. And I think that this is also obviously because of, COVID and the thing, they just weren't renting these out. So right now is a good time to get in on some good deals. Cause I would say when times are good, this place probably goes for twice as much as what we're paying for it right now.
Right.
But in comparison, we were spending $1,000 a month to live in San Jose in a 3-bedroom place that had no outdoor space, that had a view of the highway and some mountains in the back. It was pretty.
Sure.
But it was a no-brainer. It was just let's just do this. And for electricity, the electricity in Escazú, where we used to live, is much more expensive. But we used less electricity, whereas here we're using more because we have air conditioning in all the rooms, and we have our home office and things here. And so with that, it comes out to be a little bit more, maybe $20 more a month.
No, that's
what we're paying for AC here. Yeah, it's insignificant. The difference is really the lifestyle is so worth it to pay.
I pay around $100 pretty consistently on electricity a month. Here in the west side of San Jose. No AC, but again, if it's only $20, and I think it might go, it depends on the size of your family, how much electricity you're consuming. Sure. I guess how new the building is as well, and the connection where you are.
Makes a difference.
But AC would certainly make a difference. And like you say, that's a big difference between COVID times at $1,200 for a 4-bedroom unit in the north in a private community over possibly a standard $2,000. What would somebody be expecting to pay by the sea in your area if they only had a 2-bedroom?
So it depends on if it's short-term or long-term rental, right? I've seen some 2-bedrooms that will go for $700 a month. I've seen other 2-bedrooms that are $1,500 a month. right now. That's what current prices are.
Yeah.
So I think that it just really depends on how long you're going to stay, the finishes in your individual unit, because these are all individually owned, right? So
Yeah.
like they're not the standard cookie cutter. They're all very, very different. And so you've got a lot of variety, and you just kind of have to walk around, and ask and get somebody, get a friend, or, you can meet somebody over a couple beers.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to have a real estate connection here in one way or another. So it's just good to ask around and start being friendly with people, being a little more open with people, talking, and letting people know that you're interested.
That was going to be my next question. If you're relocating, perhaps you've been to Costa Rica for a few weeks, you loved it, now you're coming back down. Excuse me. Well, how do you get connected? What would you suggest is the way? Just literally be in a community you like and start asking around in person?
Yep. Mingle, walk around at sunset, walk around at sunrise, do your beach walks, have a dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody wants to talk about the dog, and down here you can really, like, everybody here, the main mode of transportation is a golf cart. So like rent a golf cart, go around, check out the little restaurants, get out at sunset. That's really the time where you see the most people out. And people are friendly. People are having a good time. They aren't stressed out. They're really just trying to enjoy their lives, and you're not going to bother them if you're like, hey, where are you from? How'd you get here? Do you live here? Just being open to conversation. I know it's hard because everybody's been with a mask on their face, and they're, everybody's a little sketchy to get close to anyone, but people here really aren't overly worked up. And if they are, they take care of themselves, personal responsibility. If they want to have their mask on or whatever, they can.
Sure.
But people aren't going to like shun you and be fearful of you here.
Yeah.
I don't find that that's the case.
Do you feel that there's any specific areas in the country that are more suited to families? Would you say the beach in general? Because you're saying, in your youth, in your 20s, early 30s, San Jose is really good. Getting out there, center of the country, having a bit more fun. And then as you become a young mum yourself, you chose that area in Guanacaste. Are there any other specific reasons that you think families might like it up there?
I think that just the outdoor exposure, getting kids outside, for me, it's super important that he's active and that he has low stress levels and that he's not just connected to a screen all day. Like, I really didn't want that kind of childhood for him. And he's out all the time. I mean, he's out walking around, checking out frogs and iguanas and birds and monkeys and flowers. I mean, it's just really so special for me to be able to provide that for him. Now, when he gets a little bit older, we're going to have to start looking at school programs and private schools. I think private school is going to be the only way to go here, as far as being out of the city. In the city, some of the public schools are really good. Out here, it's so-so. But I'm also very willing to supplement where I think that the school system might be lacking. If there's something that I want him to do, I'll either find a tutor or I'll take it on myself. Like, I'm okay with doing that. I don't have any problems with that. I think that if you want your kids to be, in swimming lessons and violin lessons, and you want them to do karate and all of those other things, like, I think having those structured activities, those are probably easier to do in the San Jose area. And when I say San Jose area, I don't just mean the city.
The whole Central Valley.
The whole Central Valley, because you can go 20 minutes outside of the city and you're in this beautiful, picturesque mountain community, right? And you've got different outdoor activities. You've got waterfalls, you've got hiking trails, you've got rivers and lakes. And so, there is the ability to do that. For me, it was just like the beach is calling.
Exactly. It's your specific enjoyment of that area. Plus, it goes without saying, Costa Rica is such a small country. You are still only 3 or 4 hour drive from San Jose. It's not like you're going from the west to the east coast and you need to get a flight.
No, you could still. I mean, I can go to the entire other side of the country in about 7 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
So like it's not bad. And there are new construction happening all the time. They're still working on this highway between Liberia and San Jose. there's a good chunk of it that's completed, and it's like a US highway. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
it's really beautiful. I mean, we've
really
been waiting
fast.
over 10 years for this.
And we might be waiting 10 more before it's completely finished, but
Yeah.
they're making a lot of progress. And I think that they took advantage of 2020 to really advance a lot on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, very
Awesome.
helpful indeed.
It sounds like you highly recommend the lifestyle, especially,
Yeah.
with your little boy growing up. It's a very kind of all-encompassing, natural experience that you are encouraged still to be outdoors, speak to other people, engage. That must be really lovely to be able to give him.
It's amazing. I can't believe he lives this life.
Yeah,
Like
right.
you rotten little kid, you lucky little kid, you don't even know how good you have it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel super fortunate that we're able to do that for him. And
Fantastic.
that we're able to do it for ourselves. Like, I never really saw myself leaving San Jose because I was so attached and I had friends and community and things.
Yeah,
But now that I'm here, I can't believe I didn't do it sooner.
wonderful. And it does help that both of you can work from home. It goes without saying.
Yes,
Because
we have.
you don't think you'll find as many jobs away from tourism in the area where you are. So that kind of digital nomad experience or existence, working from home with a good internet connection, is essential. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
One penultimate question is, what is the Pura Vida lifestyle? You look like, very beautiful tropical behind you, Pura Vida, pure life in Costa Rica, relaxed.
Yeah.
But how would you describe that lifestyle?
Just low stress, friendly people. I feel like it's such a human existence. And it's really about like interpersonal relationships and family and being outdoors and being connected, eating really healthy, wholesome food. Like for me, food is a huge part of the Pura Vida experience. Just like what you nourish yourself with in the sense of food and in the sense of your soul and in the sense of your mind. Like, what are you filling yourself with? Are you filling yourself with a bunch of media and terrible news stories and propaganda, or are you filling yourself with what's been given to you on this earth? Like, for me, I think it's just completely life-changing to come down here and really disconnect, like really, really take your time to appreciate all of this beauty that's around you.
Do you? You made a really good point. Sorry for interrupting. I was just wondering the difference between your diet when you're going shopping. When you're in the Central Valley, you do have access to the nice supermarkets, and then of course you've got access to a lot more fresh food and produce, fish and fruit and vegetables. Did you feel a massive change in your diet, and also was there a massive difference in the cost from your monthly outgoings in terms of your groceries?
Things here are cheaper than they are in San Jose. And I do feel like we get a lot more really fresh seafood, obviously, like a lot of fresh fish and lobster and shrimp and all of those things. Whereas there's much more cattle in the Central Valley. And, I don't go myself, but there are things like McDonald's and Subway and, KFC and all that kind of stuff that does exist there. So if you want that fix, you can get it. Here, we almost never go out to eat. We will every so often. We'll go get a little margarita at sunset or something and eat some little munchies.
Sure.
But I think it's just much easier and enjoyable to go out and like see the local market and pick out your fresh fruit and know that it's from right up the road. Like you start to make relationships with people, you're helping them, which they're very grateful for. They start to give you deals because they see you all the time, or they know my son. Oh, hey, here you go. Here's a little whatever manzana de agua for you. Things like that they just, I don't know. It's such a different sense of community. And again, just like how you feed yourself with interpersonal relationships and communications and food and air, the air quality, things, just little minuscule things that I think make a really big difference in your overall well-being.
Wonderful. And finally, what do you wish you could tell yourself 12 years ago before you came to Costa Rica now? If anything would change.
Get yourself to the beach.
Get to the beach sooner.
Get yourself to the beach. Just do it. Take the leap. and just enjoy the ride. I think that was something that I was so worried about where I needed to be that I wasn't necessarily taking the time to enjoy where I was
Yeah.
as much as I, looking back, obviously, but I have no regrets about the way that I did it. I got to explore a whole lot of the country. I met a ton of people. I have connections all over the place, which is really very satisfying. And, we get visitors, which is nice.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, no, I think that, I think just enjoy the ride is probably what I would have told myself then.
Wonderful. Well, I hope that's encouraged many other people to enjoy the ride as well. You look incredibly happy. I'm glad you made that beach move. And at least you have all the experience in San Jose to know that you did the right thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave your link in the description box below underneath this video.
Right.
So anybody can reach out to you, whether they're looking for information, planning a trip to Costa Rica for their next relocation adventure. But Anastasia, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us on this first trial Costa Rica episode. And hopefully we'll get you back on soon in the near future.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Adam.
Fantastic. See you soon.
All right.
I hope you found that first episode helpful with Anastasia. Some great information there regarding everything from travel, relocation, inspiration, and living here in Costa Rica. If you have questions for us, please let us know in the comments box below. I'll get back to you. You could reach out to Anastasia on all the topics we covered today. Please don't forget to subscribe to stay in touch with us here at Costa Rican Vacations for an updated video every week and our new trial Costa Rica Know Before You Go video series. I'm Adam Baker, and I'll see you guys next week. Ciao for now.